people. Welcome back to the Empowered Podcast. This is Emily Arth. If you have not joined me before, I am a psychotherapist who is located in the heartland of the USA. I specialize in treating trauma, and I'm an expert in shame resilience, otherwise known as the work of Dr. Brené Brown. And this podcast is aimed to provide skills and perspectives to help people connect their heart and their mind to create the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. So if you joined us last time, you knew that I covered kind of a heavy topic. I talked about chaos, navigating chaos with power and discernment. If you haven't checked that podcast out, check it out after this one if you'd like. And for all of those who have been joining me thus far on this little passion project journey of mine, thank you so much for following and for listening and for sending me love in the form of hugs and kisses and messages and emails and uplifting words that really fill my heart. So thank you so much for that. That is spurring me forward to continue this effort, which is really just about using my voice to reach people who may not be ready to engage in a formal change process or who may be just looking for bite-sized pieces of information to aid their health and wellness. So today, my topic is self-compassion. It's one of my most favorite, most squishy and cuddly topics to talk about. And for those who may be unfamiliar with shame resiliency work, there are two things that we consider to be the heart and soul of shame resiliency. And those things are empathy and self-compassion. So if you've not delved into the topic of self-compassion, I would first of all like to tell you about Kristin Neff, who is a world-leading researcher in the subject of self-compassion. She lives down in Texas. She's a professor down there, but she has a lot of great videos online, a lot of great free resources for you. So check out Kristin Neff if you have not. It's Neff is her last name. I think you'll find a lot of interesting things that I'm not going to have time to expound upon here today. I'm just going to give you a really brief overview today, and then I am also going to lead you in a guided meditation. So if you're just here to skip forward to the guided meditation, I will drop the timestamp in the comments section below so that you can just fast forward to that if you ever want to use that again as a resource. So self-compassion, what is compassion? Well, compassion is having kindness, care, and a desire for well-being. And that could be for ourselves or for other people. So for example, if I see someone on the street who's homeless and I want better for them simply because they're a human being, that is a sense of compassion. Compassion is often confused with empathy. Empathy is actually when we connect with the emotional experience of someone else. So that's, if you're feeling sadness and I connect with a place inside myself that knows what sadness feels like, that is empathy, as opposed to compassion, which is wanting well-being for someone. And in this case today, wanting well-being for ourselves. So Kristin Neff actually whittles self-compassion down to 3 core attributes. The first being positive self-talk. So am I talking to myself kindly? A mantra that I often employ in my own life is, am I talking to myself the way I would talk to someone I love? And if the answer is no, that would be the answer for most of us, for sure. I'd say all of us at some point. But what happens is, when we engage in critical self-talk, we are physically restructuring our brain. So I like to think of it like there becomes this thick connection, neural connection in our brain that is a critical connection. And so when I come up against something difficult in my life, something that's triggering, what happens is my brain defaults to this critical connection. And I might start getting judgmental or down on myself or just kind of spiraling. I mean, we all know what that feels like. And so when we're starting to practice self-compassion, it is actually creating brand new neural networks in our brain, brand new physical connections in the brain. And we only have to do something new one time to make a brand new neural connection in our brain. But the problem is the new neural connection is only about as thick as a hair, while the other connection is kind of like a little rope. So that's where repetition comes in. The more we repeat a pattern, in our brain, the stronger that neural network is going to get. Which is why anytime we're learning something and we really want to get it in there, it takes repetition. In fact, we have to do something about 7 times before it's considered to be quote unquote permanently in our brain. So repetition is key for self-compassion, just like anything else that we're really trying to rewire into our brain. And so what will happen eventually if we practice self-compassion with intention and mindfulness is that brain will eventually create a balanced connection network. So you'll have something that looks like a fork in the road. And so when you get triggered, the brain will come up to that fork in the road and it will eventually say, well, I could just as easily be compassionate toward myself in this situation as I could be self-critical and tearing myself apart. So that's what we're aiming for. So that's the first attribute. Second attribute is this idea of common humanity. This is just pointing to the fact that as human beings, we are connected to each other in this human experience, that there's really nothing we can feel or think or experience that has not already been felt, thought, or experienced by others. And more importantly, that is not being felt right now. So, the voice of shame, which is a liar, by the way, its prerogative is to tell you that, you're alone. No one would understand. If you opened up about this, everyone would run away from you. They would abandon you. And of course, that's not true. And so having a reminder when we're going through something difficult that we're not alone, that even if there's, if I'm depressed, for instance, even if there's no one in this room with me that's depressed right now, there are literally millions of people in the world that are depressed in this same moment with me. And I'm connected in that sense. And if you really want like solid proof of it, we have this great thing called the internet. And there are groups that are centered around just about any topic you can possibly imagine. So if you ever need some solid proof of common humanity, just look up a message board or a chat room catered to the specific issue that you're dealing with. And I can pretty much guarantee you're going to find one. So yes, we want to remind ourselves I'm not alone in what I'm going through. This is part of the human experience. And the last attribute of self-compassion is mindfulness. In this case, it's really paying attention to the way I speak to myself. And again, checking, am I speaking to myself the way I speak to someone that I love and care about? Not only am I using the words of someone that I love and care about, but am I using the tone? Tone is critical. We know that tone is actually more important than the words themselves. And so in our own minds, we can use, disgusted, self-deprecating, militant, hateful sometimes tones with ourselves as well as words. So we want to be mindfully aware of how we are speaking to ourselves and what tone of voice we're using. Kristen Neff says that she even uses terms of endearment with herself, calling herself sweetheart, darling, honey, things like that. If that resonates with you, adopt that practice. But if not, use language that works for you, language that feels comfortable, language that you can relate to. So that's self-compassion in a nutshell. In the future, I do plan to put out some other skill building exercises around self-compassion to help you learn to move from a place of criticism to compassion, because that's really the best we can do. We never want to have the expectation that one day we're going to wake up and just never be self-critical. That's not realistic. What is realistic is that we become more aware of the self-criticism and we are more aware sooner. And so that means that we can intervene more quickly if we know how to intervene and what to do. So, one thing I might encourage you to do is even make a list of positive I am statements. It's difficult to be compassionate with yourself if you don't even know what to say. And for a lot of us, that's the problem, that we become so entrenched in these negative self-talk patterns that we don't even know what we would say if we were to say something kind to ourselves. So sometimes, I will just randomly make a list of I am statements to remind myself of positive things. And then that kind of builds that well of replacement that you can draw from whenever you are in a dark place and using those hurtful words against yourself. I am smart, I am beautiful, I'm capable, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm powerful, I am not done yet. That's one that I often like to remind myself of, that when cycles are closing, it can feel like, oh, and it's like, yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. So with that, we're going to wrap up this discussion. Thank you so much for listening. Please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Share with your friends. Give me feedback in the comments. Email me. Let me know how things are going. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Be kind to yourselves. And now we're going to segue into a meditation. So I'm going to ask you to find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and take 3 relaxing breaths. Place your hand on your heart for a few moments to remind yourself that you're in the room and to bring kindness to yourself. Let yourself start to recall a mildly, moderately difficult situation that you're in right now. Perhaps a health problem, stress in your relationship, or a loved one in pain. Don't choose a very difficult problem or a trivial problem. Choose a problem that can generate a little stress in your body when you think of it. Now clearly visualize the situation. Who was there? What was said? What happened? Now see if you can name the strongest emotion, a difficult emotion associated with that situation. Anger? Sadness? Grief? Confusion? Fear? Longing? Despair? Repeat the name of the emotion to yourself in a gentle, understanding voice, as if you were validating for a friend what they were feeling. Like, that's longing. That's grief. Expand your awareness to your body as a whole. Recall the difficult situation again, and scan your body for where you feel it the most. In your mind's eye, sweep your body from head to toe, stopping where you can sense a little tension or discomfort. Now choose a single location in your body where the feeling expresses itself most strongly. Perhaps as a point of muscle tension or an achy feeling, like a heartache. In your mind, incline gently toward that spot. Soften into that location in your body. Let the muscles be soft, without a requirement that they become soft, like simply applying heat to sore muscles. You can say, soft, 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 quietly to yourself to enhance the process. Remember that you are not trying to make the sensation go away. You're just being with it, with loving awareness. You can let yourself just soften around the edges, like around the edges of a pancake. No need to go all the way in. Soothe yourself for struggling in this way. Put your hand over your heart and feel your body breathe. Perhaps kind words arise in our mind, such as, "Oh, my dear, this is such a painful experience. I'm so sorry it's so hard for you right now." If you wish, you can also direct kindness to the part of your body that is under stress by placing your hand in that place. It may help to think of your body as if it were the body of a beloved child. You can say kind words to yourself, or just repeat, "Soothe, soothe, soothe." Allow the discomfort to be there. Abandon the wish for the feeling to disappear. Let the discomfort come and go as it pleases, like a guest in your own home. You can repeat, "Allow, allow, allow." Soften, soothe, and allow. Soften, soothe, and allow. You can use these 3 words like a mantra, reminding yourself to incline with tenderness toward your suffering. If you experience too much discomfort with emotion, stay with your breath until you feel better. As you begin to ease back out and feel the touch of your body on the seat that's holding you up, you can start to wiggle your fingers and toes. You can take a breath in through your nose. And as you breathe out through your mouth, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for being here with me. Be well.